We're hot in the fantasy football drafts. This is draft season. We're getting ready for the NFL to start. Things are firing up. You might have a draft this weekend or throughout the week, or you might have already drafted. But I decided to go over some of the top players I like, some of the players I like drafting at their ADP, at their cost, just to talk some ball on them, honestly. And I talk about a lot of players, and I try to talk about everybody so you have the information to make your own sound decision. But I also want to talk about the players I like. The players I like drafting, the players I like to chase, the players I like to look at in drafts, click that button on, and build my teams with. So today we're going to be looking at 10 players that Bruce likes, because Bruce likes to chase that upside. Bruce likes to look at these deep players, and we're going to talk about them. Before we do, you have to click that subscribe button right now. We're talking fantasy football every day. We're going to help build your lineups. We're going to help you draft. We're going to help you with the waiver wire. We're going to help you set those lineups every week. Multiple videos a day, every day. We're cooking here. Hit that button. Stop missing out. Let's go. Here we go. We're going over 10 players that I like. And there's a lot more than that. Of course, there's more than 10 players I like. I talk about football every day. I talk about fantasy football every day. Of course, there's more 10 players I like. But I'm talking about 10 today. Let's talk about Jahan Dotson. I talk about him a lot this offseason. I still like the price tag. It's increased a little bit, but not much. Should have been increasing more. Wide receiver 37 and ADP. Might go up a little bit due to the Terry McLaurin injury, but haven't seen that too often. I think a few people are scared of the Commanders' offense a little bit. They want to see what happens. But when he was on the field last year, he was productive. He had multiple double-digit fantasy point performances. As you can see from the chart below, 10.9 PPR points per game. But the thing is, he's playing with injuries. He had missed games due to injuries. 5 games with 6+ targets. He soaks up volume, and this is as a rookie. We're in our second year. He's looking good in training camp. He's looking good in the preseason games. Last 5 games, 14.6 fantasy points per game. There were a lot of games last year where he outscored Terry McLaurin in fantasy. Soaks up in short to intermediate. Can also get downfield. Can also play in the slot and outside. Very nuanced. Very multifaceted. Jahan Dotson's in an offense here where he can take over, soak up targets, give you a good return on investment at wide receiver 37. He can give you wide receiver 3 numbers, and you were getting what you paid for. He can give you 10 points a game. He's giving you what you paid for. And the odds are, looking at the last 5 games last year, when he's healthy on the field, he's going to give you more than that. He's going to give you more than that. And what we saw in training camp, what we saw in preseason, the odds are he's going to give you more than that. So at this price point where you're getting him in drafts, it's almost a no-brainer because I feel good that you're going to get production from Jahan Dotson. Tony Pollard, RB11. Don't look at the Cowboy stuff back there. Look at that RB11 price tag. Look at the green candlesticks on the chart. Those are RB1 weeks. 15.6 points per game. The Cowboys did not bring in any running backs of consequence. They did not bring in any running backs to take off the workload. They're used to having 2 good running backs or 2 functional running backs or however you want to call Ezekiel Elliott these last couple years. But Tony Pollard here is in a spot to smash. As long as he's healthy on the field, he's in a spot to smash. And with them not bringing in other running backs, I don't count Ronald Jones or anything like that of what they did this offseason. I don't count that. I look for him to get a lot of opportunity. I look for them telling us that, hey, he's healthy. He's good to go. And we saw it in camp. We saw him running in drills. We saw him running on 11-on-11, 7-on-7s, looking good. Looking good on the field, cutting, working with speed, working with urgency. Tony Pollard's good to go. He should be valued higher than RB11. He should be valued top 10, like RB5-ish, 8-ish, somewhere there. Somewhere in that range, 5 to 9 range, really. He should be in a single-digit running back price point. Barely an RB1 in value. Right now in ADP, should be a little bit higher. I think this is a good price tag for him. You can get a wide receiver than get him, maybe. Depending on where you're at in the draft, depending on how your draft is flowing, depending on how things go. And that could really be a very good start to your draft, and you build from there. Tony Pollard, though, is in a good situation. See volume here, and we know he can be electric. We know this offense can click. We know they can move the chains. They got a good schedule. I like this price tag. Next is Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 46. You can say whatever you want about him. Honestly, you can say whatever you want about the offense. You can say whatever you want about his injury history, his production. But we're talking about wide receiver 46. We're talking about wide receiver 4 to 5 price range here. We're talking about first-round wide receiver who looks good on the field, and we're catching him very cheap. Very cheap. There's not a flag plant at all. The flag plant was when he was in college. This is the bargain bin here, and we're finding a good DVD here at the bottom that we liked. I don't know what else to say here. The offense here, we know everything about this, and this is baked into the ADP. Mark Andrews is going to have his games where he sees a 25 to 40% target share. Probably going to have like 6 of them this year or more, because he did last year. Zay Flowers is there. He looks electric. Rashad Bateman hasn't had an extensive time with Lamar Jackson on the field, but when he does, very efficient. 1.95 yards per route run when playing with Lamar Jackson. That's 26th among wide receivers. That's a good, efficient indicator that he could really help you out in fantasy. That can really help you out if things start to click. The passing volumes are a question mark. Question marks are out the window, though, because you're not paying up for him. You're paying almost wide receiver 50 price tag here. Maybe cheaper in your league. Maybe cheaper because I know people are sour on him. I mean, we're talking about underdog ADP here with some sharps that like him. Maybe cheaper in your league. Maybe wide receiver 50, 55 range. You're getting a first-round wide receiver here who is talented, who broke out at age 18 in college, who's looked good during his rookie season at times when he was on the field, but he's been dealing with injuries. The offense, not high volume. It's all baked into the price, though. He can give you top 20 upside. He can definitely do that because we got top 20 talent here. I'm taking that all day long. I like that price tag. I like it. And what if I swing and miss? Guess what? I'm not missing anything because I got him for free. I got him where all the other wide receivers are already off the board, and there's just not much left to pick anyways. It's bargain basement here drafting, the bargain bin. Next is James Conner, RB26 and ADP. I'm off and on him. Some days I like him, some days I don't. Dynasty-wise, I'm hoping he hits early and then I flip. I'm hoping. Redraft here, I'm just drafting and just holding on tight and closing my eyes because we do have an injury history. We see the blanks in his scoring these last few years. He does have a little bit of an injury history. Looked good last year. 16.4 points per game last 3 seasons. Can be productive. They're going to be leaning on him. The offense here, I wonder if they're going to be able to move the chains. That's a question mark. RB26, I'm just drafting touches. Like I may already have my hero RB, my guy that I'm leaning with, and I might have waited on running back for a little bit in the draft, stacked up a wide receiver, and now I'm looking at guys like James Conner. And really, this is a range of running backs that I'm just drafting and closing my eyes. So any running back like 25 to 30, really, I'm drafting them too and just drafting them and closing my eyes because then it's situational at that point, game script at that point, because roughly they all got some question marks in their profile, but they all got a pathway to touches, and there we're just hoping they don't get hurt. We're hoping that continue to get touches, and we just hope the game script goes their way and they hit for us. Really, that's ultimately what it is. Fantasy football doesn't have to be complicated. It just doesn't. James Conner is one of those guys. You're just holding on tight, see how long he can hold on, and you're just hoping for the best. Next, Elijah Moore, wide receiver 44. Love the ADP, and I checked in on that. Still in this price range. Broke out as a rookie with the Jets, which is very hard to do. Last year was wonky, but now that's why he's with the Browns. Sean Watson, full season with the team. We went over the clips from training camp, and we've done it multiple times from training camp and minicamp. They're moving him around the offense. They want to get him involved. Looking good, too. They want to use him in the run game. They want to use him in the slot. They want to use him downfield. We look for this passing game to uptick a little bit. I like Elijah Moore. I think he can be a decent fantasy producer. Get you more in wide receiver 44 price tag. Antonio Gibson, RB33. That's cheap. That is very cheap for a running back who's going to be using the passing game. They might move the ball a lot better than what people think. J.D. McKissic's gone. That's 40 targets away from the backfield that are gone, vacated. Gibson may not get all those, but he's going to get a lot of that because that's his wheelhouse. Can be productive. And at his price tag, RB33, If you get exactly what you got last year, you got what you paid for and then some. I'm going to say that. If you did not like that, what you got last year, it's probably because you paid a little bit more for that. But at that price tag, RB33, if you get what you got last year, you're okay. You got what you paid for, but you get more than that because you can. Because you definitely can with the increased role in the passing game with McKissick gone. And then with Howell looking okay, looking good in camp. We'll see how that goes this year. But this could allow him to be valuable in fantasy or have spike weeks, turn and burn a little bit, give you double-digit fantasy performances here multiple times. He did last year. We see that. It's up and down, of course, because this team seems to be up and down. It makes sense. RB33 price tag, though. RB33, you can get your hero RB, get him as your RB2, and you're stacked at wide receiver, stacked at tight end. And if he hits on some of those weeks, you got some big games coming for your fantasy team. Chris Olave, wide receiver, 12 in ADP, a wide receiver 1 in value, wide receiver 10 in efficiency. I don't see anybody really arguing against Chris Olave. I don't talk about him much because everybody else talks about him. Also, Ohio State fan because I don't want to be looked at as a Ohio State guy who talks about Ohio State players. So I don't talk about Chris Olave. I'm also, when it comes to liking Ohio State, I'm more of a negative fan. I yell at him more than I like him. So when it comes to Buckeyes, I got the bias there, but I like him. I do like him. I definitely like him this year. I like Derek Carr. I like that he gets downfield. I like that he gets air yards. I think that's great. I love wide receivers who get air yards and deep targets. I like to cash in that. That lets us know that he can get some upside because he's also getting volume there too. Chris Olave, I don't think there's much to say about him. People like Chris Olave. He's a damn good wide receiver. Next is Zack Charbonnet, rookie running back. People are soured on him because of Kenneth Walker, but you're definitely catching him at a discount. These running backs are in and out with injuries, and he looks good. He catches the ball out of the backfield. Broke out as a freshman at Michigan, double-digit touchdowns as a freshman. You can get Kenneth Walker and Zack Charbonnet if you want. The way they're priced, you can get them both in drafts if you really want. If you want the Seattle backfield, I'll tell you this about the Seattle backfield. They might scratch your head a little bit throughout the season because I bet they use both running backs. I bet Kenneth Walker gets the bulk of the load because he is the incumbent. But Zack Charbonnet, his skill set, he can grind it between tackles and catch the ball out of the backfield. He's also got some pop in his step. We saw that in the last preseason game on that run. I think Zack Charbonnet can really surprise some people. I think he'll have his moments throughout the season. And at RB36, it's easy to buy that. Tank Bixby, same thing, RB39. I want the Jaguars offense. I've talked about this a lot. Trevor Lawrence keeps the chains moving. I like Travis Etienne. This isn't even a knock. I'll draft both. I don't care. But Tank Bixby's a lot cheaper. He's RB40 range. He's RB40 range. Third round pick. The Jaguars draft him in the second day of the draft for a reason because they needed a running back to help complement Etienne. They thought he was talented. They thought he was a talented athlete that they can plug in and use. This offense can fuel his production. They can get him goal line opportunities. And he can just sit there as one of my backup running backs and then give me production when I need it, and then also be a lottery ticket. He can be a double whammy for me there on my bench, and I'm just hoping something turns my way throughout the season. Could be week 6, could be week 12, could be week 3. I don't know. You don't know when you're cashing in on these lottery tickets, if at all, but he's there, and I can see the upside, and I can see him giving us good production because his offense can fuel it. Next is Jordan Addison. Talk about him a lot. He's been really balling out in camp lately. He's really been making some plays together, but he's in a prime situation, has a good price tag. Round 7 ADP-ish, might be a little cheaper in home leagues. So in your actual draft, you might go around 8 or 9. Love that value in this offense. Really depends on your league how they value rookies, but the volume in this offense can really propel him. 7th in pace last year. Dalvin Cook's gone. Justin Jefferson takes the heat off him. He'll be running routes against number 2 corners, nickel corners, maybe linebackers at times. He'll be playing against softer coverages because you're going to be rolling coverage over at Justin Jefferson because you have to. Jordan Addison is in a situation where he can hit. Adam Thielen's gone. Those are vacated targets that could roll his way. He'll be on the field. When he starts hitting, might be sooner than later. Jordan Addison's just one of my favorite gets, but I also like a lot of the rookie wide receivers. I like a lot of them in the range where they're going in drafts. The people are not paying up for them, so they're allowing them to fall a little bit. So I'm diversifying from them. So just because I'm talking about Jordan Addison here doesn't mean he's my favorite. I like Jack Smith-Njigba. I like Quentin Johnson. I like Zay Flowers. I like these wide receivers. Even the other ones, I like them too. I love the price tag on these wide receivers because they're lottery tickets that I can try to hit on and see if something happens, and I'll diversify between them and some of the other wide receivers in that part of the draft. But I do like these players. But those are 10 players that I like, that I'm shooting the fences for, that I'm drafting a lot, and I just wanted to talk some ball with you guys today. But let me know who you like, who you've been drafting a lot. I want to hear about it. I'm probably drafting them a lot too because there's a lot of players I like. I talk fantasy football every day for a living pretty much. So, of course, there's a lot of players I like, and I would not be doing this if I didn't love this. I would not be. I'm here with passion. But make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out so you can stop missing this content, and I'll catch you on the next video.